You join me here at Crete Lakes in France. I've came over here to show you exactly how I tackle these French holiday sort of style fishing lakes. And it didn't get off the best of starts, to be honest with you. I came on nearly last in the draw, but as you can tell by this 31 pounder, I have managed to get on a few. It's looking good, so I reckon we get this one back, get a few more spoms out there, and see if we can get his bigger daddy. Here we go. Spot on. Right, as I mentioned earlier on with that fish, yesterday's draw didn't go to plan, but that's the joys of draws. I think there's 43 anglers on this week. I come out 40th, but all is not lost, you know. Here at Crete Lakes, there's 5 lakes, 61 swims, which gives you plenty of option when you come out 40th in the draw. So yeah, all the lakes have got banging carp in them. They range from sort of 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. There's even a couple of 70s in here at the right time of year. So there's always chance of a real whacker. Perfect. Right, so I ended up slotting on Lake 5. Lake 5's the biggest of the 5 lakes here. Plenty of fish in here, plenty of big ones to go at. And yeah, it's looking good for it. Yesterday when I got in the swim, I didn't commit myself to too much bait or putting too many rods in the swim, you know. I just put a couple of rods out, picked one little area and just tried to nick a bite, but more importantly, assess what's going on in the swim. Find out whereabouts they're holding in the weed, and then I can work out a couple of areas to fish after that. I didn't put loads of bait out to begin with, about 20 spoms, just to try and nick a fish and see where we are. It went off pretty quick. I had a bite within a couple of hours, nice little 20-pound mirror, and I thought that was gonna be the catalyst for a busy night ahead. But it wasn't the case. But at first light, once that sun got up over them trees and got on the water, off went the rod with that lovely 31 pounder you saw. So maybe I didn't put enough bait out. Maybe the fish are coming in the morning. These are all things that I'll be learning in the next couple of days and tweaking my approach to try and get more and more fish on the bank. I reckon that's enough spoms now. It's nearly breakfast time, so I'm gonna fill my boots and hopefully come back and catch some carp. That hit the spot. I'm fueled up, full of confidence. Let's go catch him. Got the rods out straight after breakfast on the spots. And it didn't take long for it to absolutely melt off. Middle of the day, scorching hot, but we're into a fish. And putting them few spoms out just before breakfast, resting that swim for the hour, you know, it makes all the difference. And that's something that we'll talk about a lot this week, you know, baiting strategies, when to bait, how much to bait, and consistency as well. You know, it's about keeping your head, keeping the bait trickling in, and keeping the carp trickling in. So I'm gonna concentrate on getting this one in. Hopefully it's a chunk, but a fish is a fish. Well, it's not dancing around like a 20-pounder, so hopefully we've got a piggy on the end. That's it, nice gulp of air. Big old milky toffee there, sitting at its bottom jaw. Come on, girl, all the way. All the way. Yes, we'll take that in the mid-afternoon sun. Result. There's a result. Nice comment. Get in. Well, here she is. Not as big as I thought, but that doesn't matter, you know. The important thing is that spot is rocking. Believe it or not, it's 31 degrees today, and I didn't really expect a day bite. So, yeah, massive edge. The fish are definitely on the spot, and I reckon with the weather coming on later in the week a little bit better, 25s and 24s, these will only get bigger. So, get this one back, get some more bait out there. Right, I've just got back from dinner, and the general vibe around the complex is it's fishing slow, which is it's not really that surprising with the weather we've got. You know, it's 31 degrees, blazing sunshine. So me nicking that bite earlier on is a massive confidence boost. I'm obviously doing things right, which is really important. But yeah, I've been using the boat as well at the same time. So before breakfast and before dinner, I'm going out in the boat and I'm introducing like a carpet feed of bait, around sort of 5 or 6 kilos. So quite a bit of bait, but enough to keep them sort of interested and keep the bites flowing. But spomming also, you know, in between fish, I'm not going back out in the boat having to reel all my rods in to bait up. I can do that from the bank, and that's really important. You haven't got to use the boat all the time. Your spod rod is a serious weapon. Use it and it will get bites. So I need to get these back on the dance floor and keep them bites coming. Well, after chatting to you guys yesterday evening, I was full of confidence. You know, I was expecting fish last night, but for whatever reason, it's not happened. So whether the fish have drifted off into areas where there's no other anglers for a bit of comfort is another story. But I'm gonna go to breakfast. I'm gonna chat to the other anglers there, see if they're hearing and seeing fish in areas where there's no one fishing, and come up with a plan B. You know, I've caught fish, and I've invested a lot of time, a lot of bait into this swim. Right, there was me just telling you how it's not happened and I might have to potentially move, and off goes the right-hand rod. Which is strange, you know, because at this time of the year when it's really hot during the day, 85% of your bites, you know, they're gonna come at night. And, but yeah, whether the fish just drifted off last night and come back onto the spot this morning, I don't know. But I'm still gonna go to breakfast with an open mind, have a chat to the lads there, and if there's a better move on the cards, I may well do it. But at the minute, I'm gonna enjoy playing this one and go from there. Come on, girl. Get in this net. That's a good fish. Nice mouthful of air. Oh. Got some fight in him. There's a good girl. All the way to the net. All the way. Get in that net, fishy. Yes, that'll do. Well, there's the result of that very much unexpected bite. Lovely mirror just before breakfast. A couple of lads have just walked past actually and said there's been some big fish down the other end of the pond coming out to 53 pounds. So even though we're catching them, we're sort of on the smaller fish at the minute and I really want a whacker. So I'm gonna go up there now, fill my belly up, have a word with them and come up with a plan. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see happen when I'm out in France or on the banks for a long session is people not storing their baits, their freezer baits, in the best possible shape. Now, it's really important that when you take the bait straight out of the freezer, you get that bait straight into air dry bag. You don't want that bait absorbing any excess fluid, any excess moisture, ice crystals that's going to eventually turn the bait. So what do? I get them boilies straight in an air dry bag and I want to get them baits air dried. I want to get them dehydrated and get all the moisture out of the bait to stop that turning process. Now, when I get to the lake, I want to do a process called rehydration. I want to get as much liquid and fluid back into that bait and make it supercharged. Very simple process. Get a large bucket, half fill it with lake water, then add some good food liquid. I've been using the Link stick mix liquid, absolutely perfect for the job. But equally, you can use the activator or the hook bait dip that matches your flavour of your boilies. Once that lake water is then infused with the stick mix liquid, I'll then add my air dry baits to that liquid and let it sit in there for a good couple of days, absorbing all that extra flavour and liquid. So when it hits the lake bed, that bait is supercharged, letting out real good scents and bringing more fish to your swim. So in summary, if you want your baits to last for a week-long session or beyond, get them in an air dry bag, get them completely dried out like bullets, and they'll be perfect. If you don't want to use them as bullets as such, air dried out, use that rehydration process and you'll get loads more attractions and flavours back in your bait, bringing so many more fish back to your spot every time. Right, well, after walking around, I've got to move. You know, there's so many fish in this part of the lake. So I was in peg 33, which is a corner peg. Now it's great if the fish are in there and the wind's trickling in there and you've got a concentration of fish, but I haven't got that down there. And over here in peg 55, it's a very central swim to the lake. And it's obvious why they're here. We've got a massive weed bed to my left, you know, and they're using that during the day, during the heat of the day, to sun themselves. Now, during the evenings and nights, I'm guessing they're going to migrate into the slightly deeper water to my right, which gives me fish traffic. You know, they're holding there in the daytime, they're migrating down to my right in the nighttime. I've got great options. You know, I can catch them in the weed in the day. As they push down, I can catch them in open water. So for me, this is the perfect swim. I'm confident. I'm going to get some spots rocking and get amongst them. Card there. That's lovely, that is. Just flicking through the gravel. Yeah, skated then. Trying to butt it up to a little weed bed. There's a bit stickier, a bit siltier there. But yeah. It's a bit stickier there, so if we was to clip up just behind that, that should put us nicely on that hard area. Bang. Oh, that's beautiful. And then locks up. Beautiful. Money spot. Absolute money spot. Wrapped up, 20 spoms. We're fishing. Nice comfortable that is, 15 wraps. Money spot. That's dinner sorted. I had a nice shower as well, and I'm looking forward to getting to a nice fresh swim. I got in the swim about 12 o'clock. I didn't cast out. I had a little let around, introduced a little bit of bait, and I'm all clipped up, ready to rock. Reason why I'm not fishing, each week, week in, week out, there's 40, 45 anglers coming to these lakes, and they're very pressured fish. They know lines. So if I can draw my lines in for a couple of hours sometimes each day, that's going to keep these fish sort of unaware of my presence, which is really, really important. Like I said, I'm clipped up. I'm looking forward to getting out there. Hopefully tonight's the night one of these Crete Lakes lumps comes along. Well, that move for the bigger fish has paid off, you know. We've nicked a couple of bites last night. I had a beautiful long 30-pound common before this one, and this proper wide old brute's gone just over 40. So, yeah, the hunt for the bigger ones is definitely on. We're getting amongst them. The spots are rocking again. Happy Robert. Now, I'm out here in France a lot, in my own personal fishing and while I'm coaching, so I'm gonna give you 3 little tips on how to get the most out of your session. Now, tip number 1, when you first get into your swim, it's a good idea just to kick back, take it all in and assess the situation. Now, you've got to bear in mind that these fish haven't been fished for now for 4 or 5 hours, and they know change over day. They'll be showing in areas where they weren't before, they'll be bubbling up, etc. So it's well worth whacking on a single bright one, getting it on their heads, and you may even get a quick bite to get you up and running. Right, tip number 2, fish with confidence. I see it all the time. People come to Crete Lakes or other lakes in France, or even back at home, with a rig that their mate's shown them. Oh, it's a great rig, I've caught loads on it, but you haven't for the first time. So fish with rigs that you've used back at home. You know, fish with confidence, it's key. I'm fishing here with a simple spinner rig. I've caught hundreds of carp on this. I know when I cast it out, it's gonna do the job. It's got a super sharp, size 4 Kamakura hook. It's gonna nail them every time and super reliable. Very simple, and I know in my mind I'm fishing every single time. Right, tip number 3, bait. Right, like many lakes out in France, Crete Lake's no different, it's boilie only, but that doesn't restrict you to just a plain 18mm boilie on the deck. As you can see on my bait, I've got all different sizes, 10 mils, 15s, 18, chops, crumbs. These are gonna keep the fish milling around for much longer on my spot, and hopefully me catching a few extra carp. So yeah, mix them up, and this also gives me a sort of a variety of hook bait choices as well. I can fish a 10 mil, a 12 mil on top of this, a big snowman. Think about your bait, how it's working in the swim, and you'll hold them for much, much longer. Right, guess what? I'm on the move again. I'm doing well in 55, you know, I'm getting bites and I've had a few bigger fish, but I can't ignore the fact that there's fish boshing to my right and there's a lot of them as well. So It is the way it is, you know, I have to be on the fish all the time. I'm a proactive angler back in England. If I'm not on them, I move. And that same mentality, I'm out here in France. I know I've got a week session. It sounds a long time, but really it's just 7 24-hour sessions, you know? So I need to make most of each 24-hour period. If that means moving 7 times, so be it. But tonight I'll be sitting there, confident, knowing I'm on the fish, and it's gonna be a good night. Well, this one's woken up now after a very slow bite. It was almost a liner. But you've definitely got a carp, and who knows what's on the end, because I don't think it's really woke up yet, and neither have I, to be honest with you. But it's very slow. Well, this one's just about coming up the shelf now, and it hasn't done a lot. It's just plodded along, nilly-willy. It'll be interesting to see how big this one is when it hits the surface. Come on, girl. That's a good girl. Next big lunge. Next big lunge. No, not yet, not yet, not yet. Here she comes. Hey, she's ours. Get in. When I peered in the net and see them broad-shouldered and quite a long fish, I thought, here we go, another 40, but she went 35. She's had a good spawn, obviously, but more importantly, they're on the bait, and I reckon we can nick a few more this morning, so I'm gonna get this one back, get a cup of coffee down me, and start again. Well, I did manage to catch one more fish during this morning's feeding spell. Lovely little 2-tone number. But since the afternoon's kicked in, it's gone very quiet, so I'm just prepping a bit of bait for this evening's assault. Now, we've already gone through the freezer baits that I like to use and how to dehydrate them, then rehydrate them. But now I'm gonna talk about something else, shelf life boilies. I'm using the high impact range. It's a brilliant food source bait with all the qualities you'd expect. With the added bonus, it doesn't turn. So if you don't want the fuss of a freezer bait, these shelf lives are perfect. All you've got to do is keep them in the bag in a cool, dry place, and they'll last for ages. If you're on the bank, your cool box or cool bag is ideal. Now there's a variety of colours and flavours in the high impact range. Some sweet, some fishy, some fruity. There are also 2 sizes, 15 and 20 millers, which can be perfect for France. So just like any mainline boilie, you've also got a range of matching dips and hook baits. So you've got pop-ups and wafters with matching liquids to help you supercharge your baiting approach. So if you're not into freezer baits, this high impact range is the perfect solution. Personally, I like to bring both, that way I don't get caught out short. So if my session was going really well and I used all my freezer baits up, I know I can rely on my high impact range to be there when I need it. But if it was a slow one, I can always take it home with me for the next trip. Right, the bait's all prepped. It is time to get them spots rocking once again. Now, I've rested the swim again today like I have every day, and that's definitely helped, I think. But it is the last night tonight, so it is all systems go to try and get that last night whacker. It's gonna be a big night, but I'm well up for it. Well, what a hectic last night. A couple of 30s, then at first light this stunning 41 pounder. It's been an epic trip here to Crete Lakes. I've had to work hard for it, but hopefully you've learnt a few things that'll help you catch a few more and enjoy your next trip to France. I think it's time to get this one back and get back to Calais.